if I gotta give you one tip, is that you gotta love what you do, because people will follow that forever, and this is something that you cannot fake. If you love what you do, people tend to follow that because that is your big why, the big reason that is getting you up every morning, and that is something that resonates a lot with people. But in terms of business, because I have, incredible profiles in here, obviously, and they will provide some different insights. But in terms of business, I would say, obviously, investment groups, and venture capitals are interested, in getting monetization, right, and returns. But those returns, in my opinion, are always coming from, or there are two ways, to monetize, right? One is what I usually call the intangible monetization, and I'll explain in a minute, and the other one is the tangible one. People tend to follow only the tangible one, but forget about the other one, right? Intangible monetization, in my opinion, is very significant, because that is what is creating that retention and engagement in your customers. That is also what is facilitating that sometimes forgotten, net promoter score, like providing this organic growth, and referrals, and that is what is creating that strong feeling of belonging of people, right? That is, I would say, also staff retention and career pathway, which is something that RSPA CEO Brian Dillman was mentioning before, how to build, careers for our coaches, for our people, and also for your staff. And I would say that this is very relevant and very important. And on the other side, on the tangible monetization, I would probably focus on something that I repeat, in every conference that I go, which is we need to understand that we are in the era of entertainment. And we are on the, what I usually call, not only, in parentheses, not only in the racket industry. I usually say that we are in the emotions industry, right? Our responsibility is create emotions on people. We need to understand the business, on the era of entertainment, meaning experience marketing, for instance, and creating emotions on people is what is creating that retention. Of course, and Brian Dillman was mentioning that before as well, programming. It's not only building course, and just, hope that people will follow. You gotta be able to generate that programming that is resonating with your audience. And the best way to do that is becoming customer-centric. Is understanding your audience and just being able to provide those programs, that are resonating with your people for them to become, recurrent revenue, right? And obviously, them to become organic referrals, right? Or advocates. The last thing that I would mention, of course, is that you got to establish, a very strong customer journey. You need to understand what are the touch points, in this. When you are bringing customers to your facilities, it's not a matter of hoping, hey, I hope that they love what we do and so on. You got to be able to design that customer journey, where actually you have different touch points that are conducted, or are driven, to create that, recurrent revenue. Obviously, the last thing that I would love to mention is that if you have the ability to embrace, different racket sports, this is kind of the topic that we are always covering, like try to embrace different racket sports, like obviously Padel, which is my thing. I'm the biggest advocate of Padel probably in the world. But also, we need to embrace tennis, we need to grow tennis, we need to keep growing pickleball as well, racket sports, platform tennis in the US, beach tennis, and everything that is giving us the opportunity to change the world with one racket in our hands.